Hi everyone, this is Claire, and today if you're in the market looking for a condo recommendation in a new launch market at a budget of 3.5 to 3.6 million, continue watching this video because I've kind of launched a series of new launch recommendations based on a particular budget. And if you're interested in other budgets, you can also look at my YouTube channel and look at the recommendation based on a particular budget. But today we're covering based on a 3.5 to 3.6 million budget, what can you get in the market today? Okay, so before that, I want to set some parameters first. So these units are exact units available at this point of viewing. These units are also in the post-launch phase. And the reason why I'm looking at the units at the post-launch phase is also because there are actually quite a few hidden finds that you can get. If you look at the past 6 months, some of you might have gone through the balloting process of a lot of other projects but may not have gotten a good queue number to be able to commit to something. But there are some good finds in the post-launch phase that you can consider. And of course, this unit that I'm recommending, it's also something that holds the minimum risk. But at the same time, I wanted to highlight that cheap doesn't mean good. In the next couple of slides, I will kind of briefly share why cheap doesn't mean good. And the reason why I'm doing this is really understanding where the market is going and pointing out the safe buys for you to consider rather than looking at the options out there that are in the new launch market. I want to caveat that depending on your objectives, your options will differ. So it's best to understand your objectives before knowing that you are making the right and the best possible decision. Okay? So why do I say that cheap doesn't mean good, right? So because one of the examples here I can share about is, so Wing Tai launched the project called the M during the COVID period, but the units there were sold at 2004-ish per square feet. And the reason why 2004 per square foot was very cheap at that point in time was because just one street down there was Midtown Modern that actually launched at almost like in between, right, about 2008 per square foot. So when you see prices that 2008 per square foot to all the way to 3000, even Midtown Bay has hit 4000 per square foot today. At that point of time where they launched at time, the M actually was sold at about 2004, and there were some units that were sold at about 2002 or even below 2001. So at that point of time in the city, you can get something at 2001. It sounded like quite a pretty good deal. Then after that, when you see that the project has TOP but you don't see much demand coming in, whether it's a sale or for rent, because maybe when the project has reached its TOP stage, there were quite a number of units for sale and for rent at the same time. I personally tried marketing one unit for sale and for rent, but there were very little inquiries because it's just like a lot of units kind of flooding the market at that point in time. In today's context, if you see, for example, One Burnham, they suddenly released some fire sale units all at 2007 per square foot, but we don't know if the demand is going to be strong enough for people to kind of be able to transact fast enough. So in this case, like the M, I would think that most of the units are stuck. They either have to rent out at a lower price, or initially the plan was to sell but then they have to rent it for short term and holding back their other investment plans. So that's why even though it sounded cheap at that point in time, like One Burnham right now at 2007 per square foot sounds pretty cheap because it's kind of like a 20% drop from what the launch price was. But we need to understand where the demand is coming from and whether there is going to be a rental demand in the area before thinking about investing in something like that. So before that, let me lay out the differences between a new and a resale property. If today you're considering investing at a 3.5 million budget and you're thinking between a BUC property or a resale property, so here are the differences. If you talk about BUC property of a 3.5 million budget, you take a 75% loan. Same thing for a resale property, you take a 75% loan as well. Based on past trends and all that, we have also projected a growth of 5% for BUC properties and a 3% for a resale property. But in this case, for example, if you go for a resale property at 3.5 million, you do have a rental income estimated about 6,008 per month, and that gives you almost 245k rental income over the next 3 years. And because of that, right, you see that the gross profit for both the BUC property and a resale property about the same. What is different here is that, one, the bank interest that you pay for a BUC property, assuming you take a 75% loan, because you're on progressive payment, the interest that you pay is much lesser. So it's almost half of what you would pay if you go for a resale property, because then the 75% loan is fully dispersed out and then you start paying the interest. Other expenses would include maintenance fee that you've got to pay for, property tax, minor renovation, furniture, even agent commission. That will all add up and it all comes up to about 3 times of if you buy a BUC property, because if you buy a new launch and wait for it to build, all you need to pay is interest alone, and then for maintenance, property tax and all that, they're not payable at this point in time. So if you talk about net profit and also return on equity, right, your net profit is actually quite significantly more. If you're just purely an investor today, you don't need the property for own stay. Even if you buy for a resale property, you're going to rent it out, then what I'm trying to say is that actually there are a bit more costs that you need to think about even though you get rental income at the same time. So for a 3.6 million budget, what I'll be recommending here today is Continuum 4-bedroom at 1292 square feet. Okay, so recently I just sold one of these units in Continuum. This is going to be TOP in 2027 and it's a freehold property. Okay, so the units I'm recommending will be on stack 3, mostly just right under the 3.6 million mark. And let me just explain why. So price movement since launch, has the price gone up since launch? Definitely yes, but the PSF that we are looking at is actually hovering around this part. One of the reasons is because it's a low floor unit that I'm recommending. But from a low floor unit that you see at the particular sector that we're looking at, all the way to the highest floor unit, it's around 250k difference. That's why the PSF for the same size has gone up. So there are some people who selected the higher floor units with honestly not much of a better view at such PSF, but here you're actually entering a low floor unit at around this kind of per square foot. So if you want to talk about the overall freehold 4 bedrooms in the area, what I'm comparing today will be Continuum, the orange line over here, Amber Park, who is in the resale market right now, versus Maya Blue that just launched recently in late last year. You see that actually Continuum is actually hovering around the same PSF as Amber Park, and today you can get a brand new freehold that is the same price as a resale at Amber Park. Both are relatively big projects as well. But what's more important to note here is that actually you realize that at 2007, which is what we are looking at here, about 2007 per square foot, is something that has already been accepted in the market. That means Amber Park is healthily transacting at 2009 to 2008 per square foot, and that shows that actually in this area in D15, people are already accepting this kind of price. So once it TOPs in the next 3 years, the PSF should be significantly higher than what we are looking at over here. Then we look at the overall 99 years, 4 bedrooms in the area. For example, Seaside Residences, highest have already hit 2006 per square foot, and this is in Siglap and 99 years. So in this case, the unit that I'm recommending, Continuum, it's 2007-ish per square foot. So you're topping up $100 for a freehold in a better location. Okay, same thing for overall 4 bedrooms in the recent launches. Emerald of Katong 2007 per square foot done for 4 bedrooms. Tembusu Grand, because it launched a bit earlier, 2005 per square foot at this point in time. So all you need to do actually is here you're topping up another $200 for a freehold property. Here you are just topping up only $50 per square foot. So Emerald of Katong has performed quite well in the new launch segment, and also because of location, facilities and all that. But if you talk about looking at a 4 bedroom today at the kind of per square foot that I'm recommending, 2007 per square foot, this is actually quite a good rare find in D15. Then if we look a bit more on a wider angle, right, overall 99 years 4 bedrooms in other regions, right, the Ori at Toa Payoh, I would say the location is quite comparable, has already hit 2008 per square foot. Pine Tree Hill, also not near MRT, it's just sitting in the Asia region along the Ulu Pandan Road leading towards Holland. 4 bedrooms there have already hit 2007 per square foot. So, and these are 99-year projects. So here in Continuum, it's quite a rare find because you're getting a freehold property for this kind of per square foot. And in this case, I would think for Continuum, you don't need to be paying 2009 for better view. At 2007 per square foot, you can get a good find at 4 bedrooms that will have demand in the future, considering that there's also 1 km from Kong Hwa, Tanjong Katong, and also Haig School. So this is the layout. There is a little bit of foyer over here, dry kitchen, wet kitchen. There is also a store and a helper's room. There's already a store, that means you can use it as a dry pantry or some storage, or you can use this as a helper room as well. And all these 4 bedrooms are very usable. You get 1 bathroom and 1 WC as well. There's another particular layout that is very similar to this, also has the same facing, but the 4th bedroom can only fit a single size bed. So there's a reason why I'm recommending this 1292, because in the resale market next time, I think this will bring a bit more demand than the other layout. The other thing that I want to highlight to kind of just understand where we are in overall prices, right, is the upcoming launch in Bayshore. It's already been sold to Singhai at 1388 PPR. So in this case, what the people are kind of predicting is that this upcoming project, like Knight Frank's team has already predicted that the prices will start from 2007 per square foot on average, above 2008 per square foot for higher floor units that may be facing the sea. So what does this mean? This is actually a 99-year project in the Bayshore district, and that's almost about 4 stops away from where we are at Tanjong Katong estate, and plus you're buying a freehold property. So in this case, I would still think that this is quite undervalued, and it's something to really consider. The other factor that I wanted to share about is that you realize that in the Amber area or even anywhere else, there are a lot of freehold properties, but all the freehold properties are all boutique projects. Like, okay, not all, but a lot of the freehold properties are all boutique projects where there are 40 units, there's 100 units and all. And you realize that there are not many big freehold land in Singapore. So a couple of examples here is 1, City Square Residences, 910 units, 2, Signature Park at Bukit Timah, 928 units, and we have Continuum at 816 units. Why is big freehold land important? It's because of higher transactions and also facilities and all that, making it welcoming for own stay buyers is significantly there because you see that the profit difference is a lot. Okay, so this case, City Square Residences big project versus Cityscape at Farrer Park, very close to each other, 200 over units only. But for the same holding period, 2017 to 2023, and almost the same size, even though the entry price is lower, the profit that the bigger unit has made is almost $500,000 more for the same holding period. This is Seaview, big project in the East Coast area, very close to Amber Amber Park, and also Sweets and Amber small development along the same road as well. You see, both are Amber Road. Both the holding period are about the same. 1 year difference, but you see that the profit made for a bigger project is 830k more. So in conclusion, whatever I just shared, right, is one, because you know that 99 years projects have already transacted at this kind of price, you're buying a freehold for a 99-year leasehold price, and that means that it's a very safe entry, and there is a bit more value in looking in the longer run as well, having demand for freehold properties in District 15. Secondly, big freehold land proves to have more value in the long and short run. If you look at the other big freehold properties versus a small one just beside you, for example, you see that the bigger freehold land actually make a lot more profit in the longer run. In this case, you also see that the first graph that I showed you, Amber Park is a resale property. Amber Park has already transacted at 2008 to 2009 per square foot, and here you're buying continual for 2007 per square foot for a brand new property. And that also means that because Amber Park has already transacted at this kind of price, there is already price acceptance in this area, and that means that it brings a lower risk for you. In a case where, for example, if you talk about the Gem and Ori, for example, Ori actually launched up to 2008, 2009 per square foot. The Gem residences have only hit, I think, 2001, so the price cap is there, and that would mean that actually price has not really been accepted in the area at all. But in D15, you realize that it's very safe, where you get a resale property that's healthily transacting at 2008, 2009 per square foot, but here you are buying a new launch for a cheaper than resale price. You know that this area particularly, it has already been accepted in the market, and that kind of brings a low risk for you. So that's for one recommendation. The second recommendation I want to point at is Lentor Mansion at 5 bedrooms. So this is almost in the 3.3 million range, where you can get a unit over here. It's going to TOP in 2028. It's the first harmonized project in the Lentor region, and today what I'll be recommending is actually a 5 bedroom here, 1507 square feet at 3.3 million, and the layout is something like that. So you got 4 bedrooms on this side and 1 junior master here. The show flat is designed such that you can hack down actually 1 bedroom and actually make it to a bigger living. You got a wet kitchen and a yard, but you can also afford to have a lot more space here to do a dry kitchen. There's a household shelter and also WC over here. For 5 bedrooms in the Lentor region, is only one, which you can only find in Lentor Mansion over here, and at 1500 square feet. This is one project that you can get. The other one is a 4+ study over on Lentor Modern. Right, so if people are looking at 5 bedrooms in the market today, actually there's only Lentor Mansion to consider. Yeah, so like I mentioned, there's only one out of 2 projects that's above 1500 square feet. One is a 5 bedroom here, one is a 4+ study over on Lentor Modern. So what are important things to note for Lentor, especially when I'm a bit more careful in terms of recommending something at Lentor? One, you need to ensure that your layout is more superior than others. So if you're talking about a normal 3 bedroom or normal 2+ study, if your 3 bedroom layout has a better layout in terms of the supply of, for example, a landscape living dining area that only Hillock Green and Lentora has, then when it comes to the resale market, it might be a bit more sought after, rather than your conventional layout of you come in, then it's your 3-meter living dining area and then a wet kitchen and then 3 bedrooms on each side, 2 bathrooms. The second point is that you need to ensure your price is on a lower bound range. So today, if you're buying super high floor, yes, you may get a better view, but in terms of looking at understanding how much profits you can get at the 3 or 5 year mark, then going at something at a lower bound range would be better. My third point is low supply means high demand. So for example, if you talk about layout, if only Hillock Green and Lentora has a 3 bedroom that has a landscape living dining area, that might create a bit more demand than a normal conventional layout where there are so many of them. Okay, so in this case, what I'm recommending is a 5 bedroom here at Lentor Mansion. It's the only 5 bedroom that you can find in Lentor as of now, so that will mean that there should be better demand where people are looking for 5 bedrooms here. Let's say you're only talking about 40 units, maybe out of that only 3 or 5 units are on sale, then people will be kind of looking out for that and be willing to pay a bit more for the price because of their needs. So why big units have low supply, and what does this help in terms of the impact? If you talk about Treasure at Tampines, they have 5 bedrooms here, but if you pull it out on a 1 km radius, you realize that only East Point Green has another 5 bedroom, but all the other projects that you see down the list do not have 5 bedroom units. For East Point Green, there is only a low supply of 8 units here. So what's the impact of low supply, high demand kind of unit that you're selecting? So in this case, 5 bedroom here at Treasure at Tampines, they make up to almost 1 million for 3-year holding period, making the annualized profit very significant, something you can't really get in other markets or even in other properties that you have already owned. Here at Jadescape, also you see Jadescape is a project that's been performing very well. If you just look at Jadescape here, there are 5 bedroom units here. But if you pull out a 500 meter radius, which there are a lot of projects already, there is only maybe Swimming Plaza that has 5 bedroom here. And so what's the result of it? You see that the 5 bedrooms at Jadescape, because of the low supply, they have made almost 1.1 to 1.6 million profit. So like I mentioned, only in Lentor Mansion you get 5 bedrooms, and this is likely the same effect that you can get at Treasure Tampines and also at Jadescape, and this makes it extremely rare. And the people that are looking out for a project like that or a 5 bedroom specifically, they can only look at Lentor Mansion, for example, and that will bring a bit more demand coming into the area. So here are my two recommendations. One is a continual 4-bedroom 1292 square feet at under 3.6 million. The other one is Lentor Mansion, 3.3 million for a 5-bedroom. One is in a very safe entry price. Two, you know that there's very low supply in the area. The demand might be quite strong, like what you see in Treasure at Tampines and also at Jadescape. So I hope this is helpful. Here's my contact number and my social media. You can also pause this video to scan the QR code to WhatsApp me directly if you have any other questions, and feel free to look out for my next video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.